What is the hardest decision you've ever had to make in your life? Whether or not to relocate, stay at a job, leave a job, tell someone the truth. I love you. I no longer love you anymore. As an executive advisor, clients come to me and they ask, Colleen, what should I do? And I tell them, it's not my job to tell you what to do. I can, however, support you in better understanding yourself, because that's when we make smart decisions. What I've learned over the past 10 years of working with hundreds and hundreds of clients is that the worst decisions we can make are when we abandon ourselves. And I want you to keep that in mind as you watch this video. I'm going to share the story of a client I work with who had to make a big decision about his career. And I'm also going to walk you through a framework I developed called G.U.T.S. Let's dive into it. So a number of years ago, a client, I'll call Matt, came to me because he had been at a startup for 5 years. And he said, I don't know what to do. I am burnt out. And he was struggling about whether to stay or whether to go. And I asked Matt, who is the person that you aspire to be? And this is the first part of the G.U.T.S framework, G. You are grounding yourself in that person that you want to be, but for whatever reason, you aren't. And what Matt shared is that for most of his 20s and even well into his 30s, he was a workaholic. Like, his career came first and second and third. And Matt said, that's an interesting question that you asked me. I aspire to be a present dad and a present father. Like, okay, let's drill down. What does that look like for you? And he said, I want to drive the dad van. I want to take my kids to school, attend their sports games. I want to have date nights with my wife. I want to take my dog for a walk in the morning without multitasking and being on my phone. I was like, okay, well, what would need to change for your priorities? And Matt thought about it. He said, well, number one, health would have to be a top priority, because if I don't feel good, how can I possibly do well at work or even have energy for my family? He said the second priority was his family. And then third was his career. And there was a bit of identity crisis. Like, what does it mean when your sole identity had been derived from your performance at work? And now you're wanting a more well-rounded life where you're prioritizing aspects of your personal life that you hadn't done so before. And so think about, for you, grounding yourself in what energizes you, what your values are, and potentially qualities you admire in others. The next part of the G.U.T.S framework is you. Understand your internal signals. And what I found as a recovering head person and in working with many left brain individuals in the tech industry is that there can be a tendency to live from your neck up, meaning you're in your head, you're problem solving, you're strategizing, you're analyzing the pros and cons, you've got the spreadsheets, they're color coded, they have 20 tabs. And by the way, I love spreadsheets. I have many for my personal and professional life. But there can get to a point when you're spinning and you're suffering from analysis paralysis, where you don't even make a decision because you keep analyzing. And I encourage you to drop down, live in more of an embodied state where you're noticing, what is your body telling you? Matt's body was whispering hey, this job is stressful, it's going to take a toll. And then over the years, Matt's body was screaming dude, will you listen? You have high anxiety, you have insomnia, you're dealing with depression, make some changes. And I think, it can be easy to brute force our way through life until eventually we can crash and burn. And then we finally wake up. So next we have T, which stands for tell yourself the truth. This can be the hardest part of the G.U.T.S framework because, frankly, a lot of people, they don't want to face the truth. They don't want to know the truth because they know if I'm really honest with myself, it will force me to make decisions that will likely be uncomfortable. For Matt, he knew a few years ago he should probably leave the startup, but he ignored his truth. And there was this, internal conflict. And so I told Matt, I don't think you're confused, because he's like, I just don't know. I feel really confused. I'm like, no, I think you're conflicted, because there's this part of you that is like a workaholic. It's like, oh, I'm in this high-level position. This is who I am. And there's another part of you that wants to be the present dad and the present father. And how can you reconcile both aspects of yourself, which we eventually ended up doing as we worked together. And so think about in your own life, are you lying? Are you lying to yourself? Are you telling yourself, oh, this relationship, it's not that bad. This person has potential and they aren't living up to their potential. Or, yeah, this job is paying my bills. Meanwhile, your soul is dying. Finally, we have S, which is about standing by your decision. And this really helps you avoid making hasty decisions or making decisions that provide this instant gratification. Well, it feels good. I'm just going to lie. No one will find out. Or I'm going to engage in questionable activities like, because, there's a thrill. It makes me happy in the moment. Instead, you have to ask yourself, can I live with this decision? If I look ahead 5 or 10 years from now, will I be proud of myself? And as Matt discussed staying at the startup, he realized, no, he wouldn't be proud of himself if he continued to devote everything to his job and then give his family his leftovers, which isn't much, coming home exhausted and crabby at night. Versus when we talked about leaving the startup, it was like, there was this relief. I could just see it in Matt's energy, how it shifted. It was like, these bricks were being lifted. And it was kind of like, hell yeah, this feels right. So for you, if you're weighing different options in your life, consider using the G.U.T.S framework, and I'll quickly review it. First, we have G, ground yourself in that person that you really want to be and you can be. Next, U, understand your internal signals. Start living more from your neck down versus just living in your head, which is quite a limited way of living. Next, we have T. Tell yourself the truth and have the courage to embrace that truth. And then S, stand by your decision. And this is what I've learned, throughout my own life and working with many clients, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, is that there's no perfect decision. There isn't. Instead, life offers a series of multiple choice answers. We can select choice A. There could be a lot of adventure. Choice B, it could be boring, boring, boring. C, it could be really challenging. But what's important is that we make decisions that are aligned with our own truth, instead of making decisions that we think, our family will be happy with, or our friends will approve, or we think that's what society will accept. That is a recipe for disaster and a miserable life. I want to thank everyone for watching the video. If my content resonated with you, please comment below. Is there a big decision that you have to make in your life? I think we can all learn from you. If you want to work one-on-one with me and dive into the G.U.T.S framework, I would be honored to hear from you. Until the next video, stand true.